Hola, bienvenidos a Soul Food Podcast, un podcast donde hablamos de las distintas formas de tener un alma llena de vida y bienestar. Mi nombre es Mónica y ahorita Selma está en República Dominicana con la invitada del día de hoy, que es Kathryn Templeton. Ella va a hablar con Selma. El podcast van a dive deep un poquito en los beneficios generales de la Ayurveda. Y también vamos a conocer los beneficios de la Ayurveda para las relaciones personales, cómo te va a ayudar a conocer de los diferentes doshas para tener mejores relaciones con los demás doshas, las demás personas, en el trabajo, con los amigos, con la familia, con las parejas. Kathryn, para hablarles un poquito de Kathryn, ella ha dedicado su vida a la salud de los demás. Ella es maestra, máster de terapista dramática, también es maestra de yoga certificada de 500 horas, terapista de yoga y ayurveda y además es una Ayurvedic practitioner, que es el nivel más alto de ayurveda en los Estados Unidos. Kathryn también es la creadora de la certificación de yoga y ayurveda que vamos a tener el próximo año y ella va a ser la instructora del módulo 4 de la certificación. Si tienen alguna consulta o pregunta, nos pueden escribir o dejar sus comentarios en el podcast. El siguiente podcast va a ser en inglés porque Kathryn no habla español, así que cualquier duda que tengan, no duden en contactarnos o dejarnos un mensajito, ya sea por nuestras redes sociales, en Instagram o por nuestra página web. Sin más detalle, aquí les dejo a Selma y a Kathryn.
Hi, Kathryn.
Hi there.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts on Ayurveda with your Sangha, with your community.
Yes, well, since I discovered Ayurveda, I've been like, every time I fall even more and more in love with it. Everything is a big aha moment. But it's really hard to find like nowadays.
Yeah.
So to discover that everything is so easy to apply in life.
Yes.
It's really one of the things I love the most.
Everyday Ayurveda. So looking at the world through the lens of understanding the tridosha theory, which is Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and the gunas, the small G's I call them, the 10 sets of opposites. And looking at the world through that lens creates an opportunity, I think, to be less polarized.
Yeah.
Because we tend to get in our lives polarized between, oh, this is good and this is bad. And with Ayurveda, it takes us out of that polarization and reminds us that it's really about balance. Yeah. And what's good for Selma to balance in summer may not be good for Selma to balance in winter. So we would simply say that it's, there's an imbalance in a state and we want to bring you back to balance. It's super helpful in relationships, in knowing what to eat, understanding how to take care of yourself, parenting your children. So I found it really a much easier way to live and a more accepting way to live.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, since I'm very impatient and I usually don't understand other people, why do other people forget, or why do other people I don't understand that.
Uh-oh.
And since I started studying Ayurveda, I started understanding those tendencies. Yeah. And I understand, so this person maybe is going to need more follow-up on my behalf, so they can actually deliver in the end. Right. Whether it's a friend that I just scheduled a dinner with her, it would be like, okay, remember tonight. Right. And like an hour before, remember, we're going to meet in a while. So understanding all of that. And how would be some of the benefits other than the ones we're discussing right now?
Yeah. So there's benefits. There's a couple of categories to look at. And what we do in the Ayurvedic yoga specialist training is try to deliver first and foremost the philosophy, because it is a spiritual science. It is a science of medicine. It is a medical science, and it has its own system and it has its own empirical studies. But it is also part of a spiritual exploration that yoga is the sister science to us. So we practice Ayurveda to feel healthy in our daily lives so that we can sit for meditation or we can work toward self-understanding. So the categories that, as I live them and understand them, is one, working on my own circadian medicine. So circadian medicine is not new, although we say it's new in the West.
What would be circadian medicine?
So circadian medicine is about going back to the moon-sun cycle and understanding that we do need to sleep when it's dark and we do need to be awake while it's light. Now, that doesn't mean people don't have a third shift job where you go to work at 11 p.m. and don't get off until 5 a.m. But the reality is that for those of us that have the luxury of not working third shift, let's say, we still choose to stay up and shop on Amazon or do all kinds of things, right? Until
Netflix
midnight.
and chill.
Netflix and chill till 12 in the morning. And what we see in public health, at least in the States, is that, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. What we see in the States is that we're seeing obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, and anxiety as the top health issues. And all of those, we can drive all of those back to some component of sleep. Sleep plays some issue in this. So our ability to sleep has to do with our circadian rhythms in our body because we're mammals, right? We're nocturnal animals.
Exactly.
So this idea of just realigning ourselves to our natural rhythms is going to support the most basic aspects of what bring us health and wellness. The ability to sleep, the ability to have hunger so that we want to eat, not hunger out of devastation, but the natural idea that their body is desiring food. And then we feed ourselves appropriately 3 times a day. So these things that your grandmother knows about, that your mom knew about, but because of the modern era maybe didn't pay as much attention to, and now you and I are somewhat lost in this because we work online, let's say, or we have children who maybe have their sporting events at dinner time, and all of these external drives in our society have moved us out of an awareness of our circadian rhythms. So circadian medicine is simply a revisiting of that internal time clock that we have.
Okay.
So that's a big support that Ayurveda offers because it still operates on that internal time clock.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then for me, another big category, because I'm also a psychotherapist, is working with relationships.
Very important.
Very relationships important. Are lovely until they're not, and then perhaps they're lovely again, right? And one of the things that's sort of fun about, I think it's fun, about the doshas is understanding your partner's constitutional tendency versus just thinking they're being a sloth, right?
Yeah,
if someone's more kaphic and you're more vatic, you're the one that's sort of running circles around them, and they think perhaps that you're just, unbearable because you're running circles around them at times, and you feel like they're sort of, like a sloth and won't move because their natural state is one of more steadiness. So supporting couples, or even in your work life with your compatriots at work, or with your friend set, like you're saying, understanding that we have different tendencies, and that's what drew us to those people.
Yeah, exactly. Like the opposites attract.
That's right. And it's great until we get concerned, or we get irritated, or we become critical of our partner or our friends or our workmates because they're not doing it like us. Because in Ayurveda, actually, like attracts like. So Pitta dominant people, we don't mind talking over each other because we like that. We like the drive and the energy. Not that we like talking over people, but you see, we like drive.
Yeah.
Where my Vatic friends that are more Vatically dominant, they like the expansion, the creativity, the sort of, lack of focus on the clock, time as as an idea, right? And Kapha people really like order, and they like to be able to offer support, and they like the idea that there's a natural rhythm, and they don't really appreciate people being so spontaneous sometimes because that's not their nature. So when like attracts like, if I get a group of my friends together and they're all Pittic, we can also be rather sharp to each other.
Yes.
Because there's no moderation of a Vata and Kapha around. So it's lovely to have all of the doshas in your friend set and to have all of your doshas expressed in your relationships, maybe at your home with your family. And yet, because like attracts like, we often don't have empathy and appreciation for the differences. And when we start feeling imbalanced, we often then want to blame or criticize those around us because they're not living life like us. We forget that their people are different. So when I work with couples in couples therapy or with parents and children, explaining the dosha tendencies offers a way to experience the other person not as being hurtful to me. I don't personalize it as much. I realize that's just their nature. And I'm not letting them off the hook by like, because, Monica didn't get up and, go wash the car today, which is her chore. I don't say she doesn't have to do that chore. Maybe it's if that's my child. Yeah. But I say, I might need to nudge her out of bed a few extra times because her tendency, if she's Kaphic dominant, is to stay in that steady state. And I have to work with that. Otherwise, I'm not going to be satisfied as a parent.
Well, that happens, actually, that same example happens with my boyfriend every morning.
Yeah.
He has his dual dosha.
Yeah,
It's like Vata Kapha.
Most people are dual dosha. Yeah.
So I wake up very sharp in the morning, very with my checklist.
Yes. Good Pitta
in my
girl.
Mind, yes. And with his kapha, it's really, really strong. Like the hour in the morning, the kapha hours affect him really strongly.
Yes.
So he it's so slow for him to wake up. But then
to you.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
But then his vata kicks in. So he starts rolling around, forgets the clock, and I'm like, it's 7:30 in the morning. I need to be at work by 8 because he takes me to work. Mm-hmm. So I started, like, for example, if I have to be like really early at work, I let him know the day before. Like, I need you to wake up early because I need to be early.
So he can plan.
And now we get along with that, but at first it was challenging. Because I would get really impatient.
Yeah, and it stokes up your pitta because you want to be, pittas like to have it on the dot, whatever it is that we do, so we can check it off. And it probably irritated his kapha to some degree because it's almost like abrasive, that sharpness. And for Vata, it might have been too intense, and he might have felt emotionally wounded. Not that this is his situation, but Vatas are also very sensitive, and so none of us like to be criticized, but Vata takes it a little bit more to heart in that way. So, being able to see each other through the gaze of the doshas gives you a little bit easier playing field.
Yeah.
And the big thing that happens, Selma, is that people don't personalize. They don't think, he's doing this to me. Because he wasn't doing it to you. It's his tendency, which was impacting you. But that's very different than someone acting out in a relationship, which does happen, to cause some sort of conflict or irritation in the relationship. So the doshas are a wonderful tool to use in your personal relationships for you to have some self-awareness, like you're describing about, I like to be on time, and I get up, on the dot, and I pride myself. I wear I get up at 5:30 banner, and because that's how my pitta dominant self maybe feels satisfied, So having self-awareness about yourself with the doshas, I think allows you to accept parts of yourself that maybe before people may have criticized or teased you about. And you realize, no, that's who I am. I don't want to change that. I need to accept it because that's not going away.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be unpitta at any point in time for you. He's not going to all of a sudden not being Vata Kapha. He might be in better balance, and those behaviors that are disruptive might calm down a little bit or fall in line. But we want to embrace our tendency. That's how we learn to be self-compassionate. Versus, I used to always say, people say I'm too much. I used to get that as a kid. Oh, she's so much. Look how big, what a big personality, which is like a way of saying you're a pain in the ass. Yeah. Excuse my language. That was my family of origin. And, but the reality was that pittas like to spread. That's kind of our nature in that way. And so once I realized this after learning Ayurveda, the too much was really the fact that my, Vatic or Kaphic or competitive pitta, because we also like to compete, was irritated with me, and they were saying I was too much, and really what they were saying was, you're very pittic. right? And so that allows me to embrace the, I like to wear shiny earrings, and I like to, spread the programs that I teach over continents, because that's what I do. That's my nature, and that's what makes me excel at my work. So I had to find work that would allow me to highlight that attribute versus try to somehow push it down or pretend like it wasn't there or make it bad.
Yeah, because that would make you, for example, someone who likes to spread working in a bank wouldn't feel maybe trapped, locked down.
And maybe not good at my job, which would really be depressing for me. When I work with individual clients as an Ayurvedic yoga therapist, I'm incorporating Ayurveda, yoga therapy, and a little bit of my counseling skills. And I often see people, because I work in New Haven, Connecticut with a lot of folks in psychiatric medicine, because I've been there for years doing that. And I'll see clients who have issues with depression or anxiety or stress response, trauma response. And their therapy is that they're doing with their primary care physician or nurse or therapist is operating on the illness. And I'll begin to work with those strengths they already have that are usually inherently due to their prakriti, their constitutional nature, and explore with them maybe how they're not really embracing those strengths. And we do see that there is some margin of improvement in clients when they start embracing themselves and accepting themselves with their inherent nature versus pushing that back or negating it or somehow being ashamed of their inherent nature. And in yoga therapy, it's called swadhyaya, it's the self-study. So it's a really lovely way to work on people's strengths and their internal natural gifts, that come from Ayurveda. So then they learn to eat seasonally for their dosha. And then their digestion's better. And then they feel better. And then their sleep gets better. So it's this whole cycle that readjusts.
And that helps. Just life gets better.
Life gets better. When I can sleep and digest and evacuate, because we're all about the poop, and evacuate, then I'm easier to get along with because I feel more at ease within myself. Sukham and sthira, the steady and easy, or good, easy and steady qualities that the Yoga Sutras talk about for us start to manifest in your lives. And it feels a little magical, I'm not going to lie, because it's so subtle. And it happens with repetition over time. So, one of the ways to sort of start that cycle or to shift that gear is to do an in-depth training like we do with Ayurvedic Yoga Specialist, or to have a consultation with someone who's an Ayurvedic Yoga Specialist, and just begin to learn more about yourself through dosha. And then kind of play with that, sort of bring it out and sort of notice your partner and wonder what their constitution is. What would it be like if I reminded him that pickup was at 5? Yeah. Because he's kind of Vatic, knowing he's going to forget. And noticed that, you're so great at multitasking. You're so good at being spontaneous that I'm going to remind you when to pick me up because I know that's not your skill set.
Exactly.
So that really shifts the ride home.
Yeah.
Versus why weren't you there?
Exactly. And also, so people can understand that you don't need to be depressed or you don't need to have anxiety to have a Ayurvedic consultation.
No, you can be well and
you
doing,
can be the only thing you want to do is improve some aspect of your life. So you don't have to be all sick.
No, but I'm going to tell you, Selma. I travel around a lot, and the word anxiety gets sort of used like the word popcorn. Yeah. It's very normalized in society. So most of us, truth be told, have some generalized anxiety. I'm just, most of us don't sleep great in the world. Yeah. Most of us don't digest great in the world. And those are symptoms of a very subtle, reoccurrent, low level of anxiety. And then a lot of us get what's called melancholy. That's an old word that we don't use that much in English, but it really is this low grade kind of, I don't know if you know Winnie the Pooh stories, but Eeyore, oh-de-do-de-do, we have that tendency in our lives when we feel blocked or not fully expressed. So it's not clinical anxiety or depression. It's this sort of everyday melancholy or everyday subtle like agitation in our physical bodies or in our minds, that an Ayurvedic consultation will allow you to begin to use everyday practices to assuage that, to temper those tendencies. And it's remarkable, really, how quickly, I mean, it takes, 30, 60 days to do, but how quickly, we don't even know why. We just feel more at ease.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not a pill, it's not a herbal treatment, it's not, something you've got to go to your insurance company for. It's very simple reminders that we're a human being and that we need to move with the sun and the moon and that we need to eat 3 times a day. And this is one way to do that.
Yeah. No, it helps create also that base.
It's a container.
To help you handle everyday situations.
Right, those everyday little, we don't call them traumas, that word's been overused, but we could say that they're the mundane traumas. They're the daily, the bus splashes water on all of my clothes before I get to work, right? I mean, it's not a catastrophic trauma, but it's something that requires us to make a very quick adjustment. And depending on our current state of imbalance, that can cause more or less stress.
Yeah.
So let's take out the word anxiety and depression and say stress.
Yeah.
Right? But the way we stress, according to our dosha, will be somewhat anxiety-producing or somewhat depressive in nature, or somewhat agitated. That's what we're studying in our 3 wisdom traditions. So, I guess the message here for folks listening is allow yourself to learn about Ayurveda as a form of self-study and self-acceptance and self-love and self-compassion.
And love your nature, because today I was observing a little what is on advertisement, and everyone needs to have a Vata body and a Vata creativity, but you need to have Kapha hair and Kapha perseverance, and you need to have the Pitta drive.
Yes.
So we don't have all of them.
No, we don't, for sure.
We do, but we may not all have the same creativity. I'm Pitta dominant, but I'm not going to have the same creativity as a Vata dominant, for example.
Right. Well, you don't have the same. You have all the doshas, but you have them in different formulas, different ratios. Yeah.
So it's like understanding and loving yourself.
Yes.
Because I have experience, in my short Ayurvedic experience. I have seen there is a tendency that people don't like to be Kapha because they linked it to overweight.
Yeah. People don't like that. In India, they love it. So this is sort of interesting. In India, being Kapha is desirable. Why? Because of the lustrous hair, because of the loving nature, right? And there's a sense that they're always luxurious. There's a luster to Kapha. In the U.S., the same thing. No one wants to be Kapha. They all want to be Vatic or Pittic. They want to win. So that we're a very Pittic nation. Yeah. We like to win, right? So, which causes a lot of distress. So you're right. People want to be a certain type of nature. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it's studying Ayurveda and getting to know everything. It helps me accept my nature. I am Pitta dominant, but I have a lot of Kapha in me. And
you're so lustrous. That's it. You love that.
Yes,
Look at that hair.
And what I love the most is that I as a Pitta, I say, okay, Kaphas have less tendency to get sick. So score.
Yeah, right.
So that's how I
find the positive attributes and embrace those. And know that everybody has an imbalanced state, and that imbalanced state is something that you don't have to have if you have daily support from what you eat and how you live your life. And it'll make you more resilient. You'll be less susceptible to what stress brings. You'll still have it, but you won't feel the pain and suffering as long, and you won't maybe go to the depths of pain and suffering that you might otherwise go to. So find Ayurveda, folks. What are you waiting for?
Well, thank you so much, Kathryn.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us your website? Where people can find more information about you?
Sure. So my website is my name. It's KathrynTempleton.com, Kathryn. Templeton like the rat in Charlotte's Web.com. I'm also on yogainternational.com. So if you go to the search bar at Yoga International, put my name in, all of my information will pop up. And then I'm also on faculty at the Himalayan Institute. So if you go to HimalayanInstitute.org. We're a nonprofit organization. And you put my name in the search bar, all of the programs that I teach for the Himalayan Institute will also propagate, as well as our information on the Wisdom Library, which teaches very simply a little videos on what are doshas, what is stress response. So those are 3 places you can find me, and I will be soon in Panama.
Yay.
Maria Luisa Che, one of our senior students and one of our Ayurvedic health counselors, is going to be teaching 2 of the sections. And then I'll be coming to Panama for my first time. I'm really excited. And I'll be teaching our clinical section with you.
Yeah, and I have like one last question.
Yeah.
What are the 3 things that you do in life to have a soulful life?
A soulful life. Oh, wow. What don't I try to do to have a soulful life? Well, I think the first thing I do is practice.
Yeah.
So very simply, I try to sit down for a little bit every morning, right when I get up, actually, and do my meditation practice. Second thing I try to do every single day is when I wake up, before I sit up to practice, is I offer gratitude for today. And I remind myself that today is the best day of my life because today I am alive. And the third thing I do is I try to cultivate relationships with people who are at ease with themselves. And it reminds me that I can be at ease with myself. And so having a sangha, a community, and like-minded people allows me to practice with them in a really mindful way. Everything I do. Yeah. Like stuff like this, like podcasts, talking about soulful life versus talking about Twinkies.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that Twinkies don't have a soul, but they don't. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being with us. We're going to put all your information in the description of the podcast.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for listening. Muchas gracias por escuchar.
Muchas gracias.
Namaste.
Namaste.